Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tradesman Experience. This is the podcast built by tradesmen for tradesmen. My name is Josh, and you hear me talk a lot about systems and operations. And it's conversations that I have continually with businesses that I work with. The conversation that I'm having today and sharing with you is with a company called JobTread. The founder and CEO, Eric Fortenberry, was kind enough to be my guest, and we really dive into not just what JobTread does and not just how it can help you improve your operations, your efficiency, your transfer of information, your job costing, but why those things are important. And I'm very particular when I invite someone onto the podcast because I have to make sure that their values align with mine, that we have similar missions and purpose in what it is that we're doing. This is a project management software company. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be a project manager, but this is entirely built around the construction industry. So if you run a business that is a construction company or project type company, I think you're going to get a lot of value and a lot of good information out of this conversation. Check them out on JobTread.com. We will have all of the information in the show notes. And if you do contact them, tell them we sent you. So please enjoy my conversation with Eric Fortenberry.
Eric, it's good to see you again, my friend. Welcome to the show. You and I met in Denver, and unbeknownst to you, I spent 3 days interrogating you and your team about your software, JobTread. And I've had quite a few clients switch over to JobTread, and they love it. But before we get into the software, tell us a little bit about you, because I've got a big question to get us into the segue of JobTread. But tell us a little bit about you first.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate you having me on. Big fan of what you guys are doing, and just appreciate the opportunity to be on here. I'm founder and CEO of JobTread. I essentially started this back in 2019. Really even before that, after I had sold my first software company in 2015, I started getting real bored just doing all sorts of home remodels and various projects around the house. I was doing everything from just tearing out, bathrooms and replacing all my light switches, fully automated the home, got into, building drones and, robots, and just got super bored, right? Started playing with electrical. And my wife's like, I think you need to get out there and go get a job or something. You're just sitting around,
Get the hell out of the house.
Yeah. So she got real worried when I started opening up the main electrical box and I put in an energy meter reader so I could figure out all my least efficient, appliances and everything. But anyways, I started actually getting to know my landscaper, and ended up kind of just learning about her business and the struggles that she was having, and went over and, again, wife's telling me to get out. So I'm hanging out at her office, kind of seeing how she's, running things. And it was just as professional, she looked on the out in the field, doing great work, really talented designer, just really struggled though with the business side. And, so I went and I spent, a long time just learning her business and seeing what can I do to help you? This should be easier. And ultimately we ended up implementing a software that probably many of your audiences used. I won't name names, but, help them get it set up and running. And overall, it made a tremendous impact on her business to help her be able to, get organized, get her invoices out. I thought for the longest time she wasn't invoicing me because, she really valued our talks and thought I was helping out, but turns out she was just super unorganized. Had no idea who was getting invoiced and who wasn't. And, ended up kind of getting a little frustrated though with the company because, they had a couple, what I deemed as sort of, fundamental flaws. And, I was trying to help. I reached out, got on the phone with the VP of customer success, ended up actually getting the founder and CEO on the phone. I was like, hey man, look, I got a software background. I see this issue. I really think this, could be improved if you did this. And the guy basically was like, yeah, no, we know about that. And, told us he wasn't going to keep helping us to rectify the situation, and basically told me to deal with it. And I was like, deal with it. Like, what do you mean? Like, and I don't know. I got real frustrated with that, that support. And I was trying to help. And so I was like, all right, I'll deal with it. And as you can see here we are today. But, it was after that too. I had another friend of mine who was running a construction company that asked me to come over, take a look, see what I could do to help them scale the business. And they had been at it for like, I think 4 years at that point. They were doing, about 5 million in revenue, had, 10 employees. And it was like deja vu all over again, walking in and just seeing the chaos, like just papers and binders, like papers literally walking in the door every day, these timesheets or the bills, they're getting printed out, and like, they put them into these folders, and then they waited for a project manager to come by and sign off on it, and then someone else typed it up into this spreadsheet, and then manually entered it into QuickBooks, and like I just saw the inefficiencies, but like this is at such a larger scale, and so again I'm like, guys, like you need some software to help you improve your business, and so again back out on the search, looked at everything out there. And at the end of the day, though, like I struggled to make a recommendation for him because like it felt like it was like, very antiquated. Things have been started 10, 15 years ago, or it's going to be really expensive. And, they were just like, well, Eric, I mean, you're a software guy. Can't you just build us something? I'm like, thinking, and then I'm just like, hell no. Like, I'm not trying to take on a full-time job here. I'm not trying to create another one-off that you're going to have to maintain, but like, as I kept thinking about it, and I realized like this construction industry was like enormous, and for it to be lagging behind in technology, and I saw an opportunity. So I went back to him. I was like, guys, look, I've thought about it a lot. Here's the deal. I'm willing to take this on, but I've got 3 conditions. One, I take over as CEO, so I've got the ability to make changes. Put in processes. Maybe add some people, remove some people, whatever needs to be done to right the ship. Like I've got that ability. 2, everything I build is my intellectual property. So if this has the potential to become my next software company, like I want to have that option to go do that one day. And then 3, I told them I'd give them 1 year of my time. And so, ultimately they jumped on it, said, absolutely, made me CEO. We partnered up and I got to work, and we essentially built JobTread out of a needs basis while I was running this construction company. And it started with estimating, then we focused on the job costing, scheduling, managing all the crews, and ended up on the back office, the accounting side. And we essentially grew them from 5 million to 8 million in sales that year, and we increased their gross profit by 43%. And so it was at the end of the year, I was like, all right, well, this is too good to leave sitting here with you guys. I appreciate the opportunity, but that's when I recruited some of my developers, designers from my last software company, and JobTread was born in 2019.
Damn. I swear to God, we could probably just end the episode right there, and everybody just needs to go like check you guys out and sign up. But here was one of the things, because I knew that part of your story, and that's why I wanted to kick off the conversation with that part of the story, because the development and creation of JobTread was born out of hands-on necessity. And I think it's one of the things that separates you from everything else in the industry that attempts to do what you do. Is you built this thing while helping reconstruct and build this company. So it doesn't, this program was not built in theory. It was built out of application. And to me, being a knuckle dragger, being a guy in the trades, right? Immediately, we're skeptical of everything and everyone that's not part of the trades, right? Softwares, accounting, marketing. It's like, no, fuck that. Like, I know what I'm doing. It's like, no, you know how to do the craft. You've got to find some things. So the fact that JobTread is built out of that, again, that hands-on necessity, to me adds so much value to what you guys do, because you have the experience to back it. What? Yeah, go ahead, because you were.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is something that I often hear people talk about, that they can tell, even in the sales demo, or in the initial trainings, or watching our YouTubes. Like, the thing I hear all the time is that they can tell that we understand construction. Like, we have been in the trades. We have run construction businesses. Like, my entire team, every single person on my sales team has come from construction, on my customer success team, like every single one. Like, it is a requirement that they have experience working in construction, because at the end of the day, like, I don't believe that we can like really fully appreciate what our customers are going through if we haven't been there and done it ourselves. And so, like, that's just why it's so important. I mean, I know, some of the other companies out there, they'll just hire anybody off the street, put a warm body in a chair. But like for us, like, it's all about building a great team. And that team is essentially an extension of all of our customers. And so, we have to really understand the ins and the outs of what they're trying to accomplish in order for us to, best set them up for success, as well as for us to continue building and improving the product. And so that's where, you're spot on. And, I hear it all the time that people really value, that experience that we have.
You mentioned your team, which is one of the other things that you and I align with is culture. Te- tell us a little bit about JobTread HQ and the team that you have, and kind of what is it that you do in building this company and this culture?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, first and foremost, I mean, we are a very, close knit group. Like, we spend a lot of time making sure that the people we hire are going to be a good fit. They have the right skill set. They're they're very well vetted. I've learned the hard way, the cost of hiring somebody who, is not a good fit for your team, or doesn't have the right skill set, or just, for whatever reason isn't the right person. Like, that costs you so much more time and money than taking that extra, however long it takes you to find the right people. I mean, honestly, right now, my entire customer success team is so overloaded, and it's like, we are trying to hire as fast as we can. I mean, I had a guy start on Friday, a guy start on Monday. Like, we keep, hiring people. But I mean, like, today I've had, like, I mean, it's crazy. We've had 17 new customers sign up in one day. I think that might actually be a record, aside from being at a trade show. But it's so important that you build the right team, and we really we value each other. We appreciate what everyone else does in their role, knowing that, like, hey, I couldn't do that role, so thank you for for doing training after training after training, or thank you for doing the development side, or for doing the the sales side. Like, everyone has that appreciation for each other. And we spend a lot of time focused on building a great culture, and I think that culture really, it helps start. So one of the first people I hired is my father. He's my CFO. He was my CFO in my last company. Like, I feel very, very fortunate to have the opportunity to be able to work with my dad every single day. And I think that our relationship, it brings that family type culture here. It helps people understand that, like, we're not just here to turn and flip this thing. Like, we're in this for the long haul. We want to build a great company. Like, there's nowhere else I would rather be than sitting right here with my dad, getting to work on my second company with him every single day. And so, like, that, I think, comes through. And why, like, all of these people, I mean, I consider every single one of our employees like a friend, somebody I would want to hang out with them and their family, after hours, getting to know their kids. Like, it's so important. Like, you spend more time working with your coworkers than your own family. Like, I mean, when you're at home, probably a large portion of that you're sleeping. Like, I mean, sure, you got the weekends, and I'm not trying to make it sound like we're like 100% working all the time, but like, it is just, if you do the math, like, you spend a tremendous amount of time with these people, and life is just too short to not be doing what you're passionate about. Like, doing things like with people that you care about. Like, you gotta, like, just really embrace it. And, like, your work is just an extension of, like, what you care about, and, like, making sure that people are passionate. I think that's the number one thing that we look for, is people that, like, care, and they want to do a great job. They want to help others around them succeed. And so we really embody that. We do a lot of team events, a lot of team celebrations. Like, sometimes it's not always like yeah, I mean, last year we crushed our goal. I mean, we started this, and we grew it to 200 companies the first year. 2022, we got to 1,000. Last year our goal was 2,000. We blew through it at, like, 22 something. This year our goal is 4,000. Like, so we have big parties, we celebrate those. But even every month, we hit our goals. We have a happy hour. We do weekly team lunches. We're like, every single Wednesday at noon, the entire team comes in, and we spend an hour and a half with each other, going through every single area, and everybody gets to talk about their wins, their challenges, like, just keeping everybody on the same page and having that transparency, I think really helps like the whole team understand like what is our vision, what is our mission, where are we going, and it gets them, everyone really bought into it, and we've now been rated one of the best places to work in Dallas for the past 2 years, that that we've applied for that, and I think it's just it goes to show that when you build the right team and create the right culture, then you're setting yourself up for excellence. But it all starts with that team and the people. Nothing else matters if you don't have the right people on your team. Like nothing else matters. Like you can't do everything. You can't scale a business by yourself. Like you got to think about finding those, first that core team, and then being able to make sure that as you expand and grow, obviously you got to be able to afford it. And as you grow, keep adding people that are going to be the best people for your team.
Do you have anyone that works remote?
Nope.
Yes, I know. I knew the answer. And the reason I asked that is because I wanted my listeners to know that how culture driven you really are. So everything that you just talked about, everybody shows up to HQ every day.
Yep.
So everybody is accessible. And I think that is so valuable to a company, and especially in a service and software company like you have, because you guys are all dealing with different clients. You have different roles, responsibilities, but everybody's accessible.
Yep.
And everybody's based in Dallas, and everybody shows up to the same building. And that was when I was talking to you in Denver when we met. There was one of the for me as a company and culture driven, it was one of the favorite things that you told me was that no one worked remotely, that everybody showed up to HQ every day. And I fucking love that.
Yeah. I mean, in my last company, we tried it like once, and it didn't work. Like, it's so important that, we're all right there. Like we're accessible to each other. We can help each other. I can walk in, if a customer calls and there's, some issue, I can walk into the developer's office, and I can just point and show them and say, this needs to do this or whatever. Like, I don't have to go and try to hunt them down on Zoom and schedule a meeting. And like, just the energy though, like I feel like people have this energy. It's this like, this passion. When you get people together that are like excited, and have that passion, like we all feed each other. Everybody's wins. Like, someone signs up and the sales guy just did a great demo. Like that gets us all excited. Like we have dashboards all over the office that like, we get to be there and just appreciate that time together as a team. And like, I think, honestly, like this is the reason that we have been able to grow so quickly, is because everybody is here together in the office. We can collaborate. Like our team just moves mountains. Like seriously, like we are, pulling off a massive event, next week, our user conference. And like my team is just like, right here working so closely together, and it just makes everything, just run so much smoother.
I want to transition over to the software just a little bit. What are some of the biggest problems that JobTread solves?
Yeah, I mean, look, when I walked into that construction company, like I started, after I ended up taking over, and I started looking at all the data, and like this data was everywhere, man. Like we had like spreadsheets after spreadsheets all over the place. QuickBooks was a total mess, but like I started studying the data, and ultimately what I found out and what I realized is that like I needed to start focusing on the very beginning of this job life cycle. Like it's the estimating, that we first started focusing on. And what I did is I started shadowing what these estimators, the salespeople were doing. And the funny thing was that like, I mean, I basically learned that, some of them were just totally making up numbers, 100% pulling numbers out of thin air. Yeah, we can redo that wall. That looks like that's, $10,000. Okay, where'd you come up with that? And then they're like, oh, my experience. It's like, okay, well, that's great. Second thing I found was that like, some of the guys were taking, and putting together kind of like a back of the envelope type list of all the costs. And then they were applying a 30% markup, to the cost. Like we were trying to make a 30% profit margin. Well, they were just marking up their cost 30%. Now, if your listeners don't know, and I hope they do, a 30% markup is only going to get you a 23% profit margin. So we were literally shooting ourselves in the foot right out of the gate we had no chance in hell at hitting our target profit margin. There was one guy, and he just so happened to be the owner and the person, again, who had the most experience, that he realized that he needed to use margin to calculate the price. But nobody else got the memo. And he was the only one. And he was also the only one that could consistently, have a chance at hitting that target profit margin. But what I realized in this experience is like, okay, like, guys, put away your calculators. We are going to build a budget building tool. The very first feature where I started all of JobTread was this budget tool. And so I told them, look, I want you to focus on figuring out all of the costs that are going to go into this job, from the labor, the materials, the equipments, the permits, to whatever possible cost might come up. I want it written down. I want detailed scopes of work written. It needs to be documented. And then we will automatically calculate the price for you. You just figure out the cost. We're going to use our target profit margin of 30%. We will determine the price. And that's it. And so, like, that was the very foundation of what became all of JobTread. But this allowed us to start our jobs off on the right foot. This let us have, again, that the detailed scope. It allowed us to have much more productive communications and conversations with the customer, as well as with the handoff from it going from sales to the project manager. They now knew how they came up with that price. They knew what was involved in the job. So we could actually even do change orders now because we knew what was in scope and out of scope.
I want to stay right there for just a second, because what I've learned is the largest communication gap in every business is from sales to install. From the time the job is sold to the time the job is done. That is the largest communication gap. So when I look at a company and I work with a company, I kind of look at three big pieces of the company: leadership and teamwork, which is where I spend a lot of my time; systems and operations, which is where I spend my time, plus align myself with people like you; and then sales and marketing.
Yep.
Right. So I look at a business kind of in those three sectors. What's the transfer of information? Something that's at least the verbiage that I use. Where's the transfer of information? How are you passing this down? What is the accessibility to information? Because from sales to install is the largest communication breakdown in every company.
Yep.
So you guys have learned how to bridge that gap, create that accessibility, create the efficiency on the front, middle, and tail end. So I don't want to break your flow, but I really wanted to say there, because holy shit, that's a problem I see in every business.
Yeah, no, I mean, it directly was affecting us every single day, every single project, without question. Like, honestly, like, I went in and my original advice to these guys was, this is a total crapshoot. You might as well go to Vegas and roll the dice. Like, there is zero consistency on how you're going to perform on any given job. Like, no chance of us being able to predict this. I couldn't believe it. But, at the end of the day, though, again, when we started with this documentation, this helped us to more accurately budget our jobs, more accurately price them. And, at the end of the day, like, again, like, when I started looking back at all this historical data, like, to give you one specific example, like, I found that every time we sold fencing jobs in Houston, Texas, we lost 10 to 12%. Like, we literally were paying our customer to install their fence. Think about that for a second, right? Like, this is a construction company doing $5 million a year, and we're paying our customers, and we have no idea. How could we not know that? How could nobody have figured this out? Like, again, I'm my mind's like just blown. And ultimately, like, I mean, I'll admit I had some, I'm like, is there like some sort of kickback going on or some sort of fraud? Like, how could this even be possible? I tracked it down. We never updated the cost of our materials. We're just using outdated information, and it's like, it goes to show that, like, when you don't, track this, when you don't have the budgets and do the job costing and track how you're performing on jobs, like, how would you ever know?
Mm-hmm.
So like, I mean, again, this budget building, this how we started to think about pricing our jobs. I mean, I think that was like the biggest transformation that we had. It helped us to set the job off on the right foot, to give us a chance at earning our profit margin. But I will say, that's when I started learning and realizing that we can sell the job, we're good at sales, but now we got to go operate and execute and deliver. And so that's when I turned and I started focusing on the project management aspects. I mean, I shadowed the project managers. I did ride-alongs. I mean, I went out to the job sites. I don't know if you've seen like Undercover Boss. Like, I mean, I straight up was following crews around, and it was so insightful though to really understand how they were thinking about things. Like, I had met with all of our subs, and I asked them, like, what is your biggest frustration? What would make you more efficient? And they resoundingly all said, we show up to the job site and we don't have the specifications. We don't know what to do. We're waiting for the project manager. Nobody shared the photos or the plans, and so I'm just like, wow, like that's crazy. And so like, again, I go out one day, this one particular story, I go out there, it's 8 a.m. I'm expecting the guys, this crew that we're using to already be, well at work, right? I wait for over an hour. They show up at 9. Well, it turns out they all went to Home Depot because they had to get all the materials, and again, like, I'll own that. That was on me. I realized we should have had those materials ordered. We should have had them on the job site. Like, the guys having to go to Home Depot to go, pull stuff off the shelf was a total waste of time. Fine, I'll own it. 11 o'clock rolls around, and sure enough, they find out they need some more materials. Because, again, how would they know everything to buy if they don't even have all the detailed scope of work and the plan? But, anyways. Right. So instead of calling the project manager or the office or sending one guy back, all 3 of them go back to Home Depot. So they now go and spend another hour. They show back up at the job site around 12. Okay, so obviously it's lunchtime. So now we got to take another hour. Start working again at 1. I kid you not, Josh. Like, at 3 o'clock, all 3 of them decide they need to go back to Home Depot once more. And all this whole time, and I didn't even know it, the customer's sitting there wondering what the hell is going on. And he calls me, he's like, your guys keep leaving. They haven't done anything today. And he's so frustrated. And I'm frustrated. He doesn't know I'm sitting there like actually, watching this go down.
Right.
But this is when I realized that like we were not aligned with how we were managing our jobs. We were selling the job with a fixed price, and we were running the job with a variable cost. There's no way that's ever going to work well. You can't have consistency. And so it was at this point where we transitioned to, basically, implementing a bid request system where we could now tell our guys, you could bid on the job and we were going to give you a guaranteed amount. So, if you tell me it's going to take you 5 days, you're going to charge me $10,000. Great. I'm going to take $10K. I'm going to plug it into my budget, put my margin on top, sell the job. Once I get that job settled, I just convert that bid request directly to a work order and you're on your way. And you know what? If it takes you 3 days, awesome. You get to move on to the next job and you're still getting your full 10K amount. But if it takes you 7 days, that's on you. And, barring any unforeseen circumstance, change order type situation, like if you drag this out, which is what they were doing, right? Like they were incentivized because they were getting paid time and material. They were getting paid by the day.
Oh, shit.
And so like, the guys, I mean, I don't know. I feel like they might have like been inventorying Home Depot and they had no incentive to get this done. And so the most interesting thing that happened, Josh, is that when we transitioned to this fixed guaranteed amount, not only were we able to more accurately, budget and price our jobs, but the quality and the speed of the work astronomically went up. They were now incentivized to get the job done right the first time. I didn't have to fight them to go back and fix things. They now wanted to get it done and move on and go to the next job. And this is how they could make more money. And so like, it was just like this paramount shift in how we were managing these jobs. Like, again, like you can't have a fixed price and a variable cost and know that you're going to be able to deliver. I mean, now I say that with the caveats of obviously, on demand type work, service jobs. I mean, if you're a plumber and you got a customer calling you saying, the building's flooding, like you need to go and you don't need to stop and put together a proposal and
Right.
wait for them to sign it and approve it. Like, so again, I understand that this is not, every situation is different, but even in those situations, like, again, like it's all about making sure that you're managing the job and that you're tracking the time and that you're understanding what's going into it. And if you are going to run time and material jobs, and you need to be billing the customer, like think about it more like a cost plus model where whatever your costs are, whatever you incur, make sure that you are recouping that and that you're making your money on top of that. Like you can't mix these two models. That was what we were doing, and again, we're just hemorrhaging money.
One of the things that I have seen with JobTread is the accessibility of information for the people in the field. And I actually had one of my clients yesterday, virtual coaching session, and he says, "Hey, can you share your screen?" So we share my screen and we pull up his JobTread on the screen, and he starts going through, and he jumps into a job and he starts going through, and he's got blueprints in there and CAD drawings in there. And so talk a little bit about that, because I want people to understand what they can integrate with this program and how they can create that accessibility.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a great point. I mean, like one of the other, another big challenge with managing these projects is like all of the photos and the documentations and the plans and the drawings, like they were everywhere. They were on Google Drive. They were in text messages. They were in emails. They were in Dropbox. Like just on my guys' phones. Like, and so like I realized like we needed one central repository for everything, to be able to take all of it. And just as a quick aside, like I can't tell you the number of times that I have seen lack of documentation, lack of taking photos before you ever start any work on any job site. You need to document that and you need to save that somewhere. I can't tell you the number of times that I've seen a customer come back after the fact and try to blame the contractor on something that they had nothing to do with. But if you don't document that, you need to be taking photos up front every day, along the way, the final completion photos, and put them somewhere safe, because you never know. 6 months, 12 months later, some warranty claim, some insurance claim, some who knows what claim could come back at you. It's so important that you document that. And ultimately, like what we ended up doing, like I told the guys, I implemented this. I said, look, if you want to get paid for today, you better upload your photos and fill out your daily logs before you step foot off that job site. And, again, it kind of felt maybe a little bit harsh, but I'll tell you, well, there's one guy who I had to kind of threaten a few times, but like ultimately he understood once I explained the importance of how that was going to help us as a company be able to grow and scale the business and protect ourselves. And so, being able to organize all of that information and having that is just huge.
Yeah. Well, anytime that you introduce a system into a company, you have to get buy-in from the team.
Yeah.
What I've learned with system integration in a company is usually it doesn't stick because they didn't get buy-in from the team on the front end. So it became this almost a have to type system, but no one ever took the time to explain. So I tell people, said, here's how you get buy-in. You have to tell them why the system exists and how it benefits them. And once you generate buy-in, then everything that they're going to do is going to benefit the company. It's going to improve communication. It's going to improve transfer of information. But you have to generate that buy-in.
Yeah.
Also, part of the buy-in process and the implementation process is user-friendly. Right? And again, back to the fact that you built this and your team built this from a hands-on approach, the user-friendly aspect of it is phenomenal. And not just the user-friendly aspect. One of the demonstrations that I watched you again as my 3-day interrogation of you and your team in JobTread is you had a laptop, you had a tablet, and you had a phone, all turned on, all at the same time, all opened up, and you said, "Look, you change something in one, and within seconds, everything was updated across all platforms.
Yep.
And to me, that falls under that user friendly and that integration of oh man, it's accessible, it's transferable. It's like we can get to it.
Yeah.
I can be in my office, you can be in the field. We can have a conversation. I can change something immediately. You now have access to that information.
Yep.
It's fucking beautiful. When I watched it, I was like, this is beautiful. I love it.
Yep.
It's such a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it is, and again, I tell people all the time, like, we're not reinventing the wheel here. Like, the fundamentals of managing construction business, they haven't changed. We're just leveraging modern technology to create an easier to use, easier to learn, much faster, better user experience. And at the end of the day, like, yeah, like this is what people should be expecting. Like, this is what technology and software can do these days. And like, there's nothing that drives me nuts more than antiquated software that you sit there and you're watching the screen just load. You're just watching it spin, and it's like, what in the hell? Like, I need to go get a cup of coffee while this thing is loading up. Like, that is like it's like, you can't waste your users' time. That is their most valuable thing. And if they have to sit there and wait for something, like, something's wrong. And so, again, my co-founder, the CTO, like, he's just like I am. We are like OCD efficiency, like nothing, like, we don't wait for anything. Like, it's got to load, it's got to work. And if something is slow, man, believe me, he is the first one to go and focus on optimizing it. And so I do think that at the end of the day, the nice thing about that too is that means that everything that's going through, the app and through the servers is extremely efficient too. So it's lightweight. It doesn't require a massive, amount of data. We only load up what we need, and that helps when you're out in the field with minimal, cell phone service or whatever the situation may be. Like, it helps to make sure that the application can load and get you that data as quickly and easily as possible. And so again, we focus on making it as efficient as possible, if you will. But I think the other thing that you brought up too, Josh, is so important that, like, the taking the time to meet with your team and understand their needs. Before I even started building anything, like I said, we had our big crew meetings every the first Wednesday of every month at 6 a.m. Like, our entire team, as well as all of our subs, anyone that we worked with, they all came together. We bought them breakfast. Got on the same on the same page, and like, I spent countless hours asking them, like what frustrates you? Like, what is, if there was something in your day that, like, I could take away from you, like, what would it be that would make you more efficient or make you happier or make you do your job better? Like, collecting that information so that when I went and I started looking at what, our options were, I already understood what problems I was trying to solve. Like, you got to understand your pain and where your bottlenecks are. And then, again, I went to those guys and said, okay, if I can go and find a solution to this problem, would you be open to using it, or open to working with me on it and figuring it out? And that, of course, why wouldn't I? Right? I didn't come after the fact and say, hey, I found this, shiny new thing that, I want you to, drop everything that you've been doing and use it this way. I got their buy-in early on, and I'm a big believer in involve your team, involve all of the stakeholders in doing product demos and going through the implementation and the training. Like, just let them be part of it, and you're going to get so much more buy-in. You're going to get people who want to take ownership and are excited because they didn't feel like you came and made them do something. You asked them, you brought them a solution, instead of bringing them some new problem. It's all about how they frame it. And it's so funny, man. Like, I'll never forget this guy. I went to him, and he definitely was, pretty much like, absolutely not. I'm never going to change. I've been doing this for 20 years. This is how I'm doing it. And I was like, okay, well, this is my resistance to change, model right here. Let's see what we can do. The funny thing though is, again, I kept talking to him, kept working with him. Hey, like, what if I could do this, or what if it did that? Again, he became part of my process. And when I finally came back with a working version of this, he was all about it. And he actually went from being my biggest naysayer to my biggest champion. He went around and got pissed off at everybody else who wasn't entering the data. They weren't putting their subs on the schedule. Like, he's like, I'm trying to schedule things out, and you tried to take this guy, and it wasn't on the schedule. Like, he's mine now. Like, he literally went around and became the biggest champion to get everybody to use it because I directly solved a problem that he was having, and I got his buy-in.
Two questions about the software. The first one is there an aspect of JobTread that you think is underused or undervalued?
Underused or undervalued? I mean, I think it's easy for people to start off with the estimating side. And again, I mean, we don't want to overwhelm people saying, look, you got to flip your business, upside down overnight.
Right.
It's obviously they get into the estimating pretty easily. I think though, where I see people struggle a little bit more is, we'll say two areas. So one, it's building out that catalog. Like, we have a catalog feature where you can essentially import or just build out budget templates. Like, take the time to make sure that you understand and know your numbers. You need to know what all of your costs are. And then again, when you group that up into a template, so the most common jobs that you run, or if you're a builder and you have a couple different layouts that you use every time, or whatever it may be, like, always have a starting point. That makes you so much more efficient. And again, at the end of the day, even if you have extra things in there that you don't need, it's better to have to remove things than to potentially forget them. And so I do think that taking that time to build out a solid catalog is something that, again, a lot of people, will eventually get to, but sometimes they just want to get in there and start running jobs. And so they're just kind of, recreating, and re-entering the data over and over instead of doing it one time in the catalog and then just importing it as your starting point. So I'd say that's number one. Usually we definitely help them kind of get past that. And we've got some more kind of templates and things that we're going to be rolling out in the next, couple months. But I'd say the other thing is it's the job costing. It is like, I
was hoping you were going to say job costing.
Yeah. It's the thing that, like, I hear this all the time that people feel like, and they can come up with a million reasons why, they don't have time to do it, or they don't have the information, or they're not the bookkeeper, or, just there's a million reasons why people will say, they don't know how to do the job costs. They don't have a system, like, and ultimately, like, that is not how you build a scalable business. Like, you have to make the time to understand your numbers, know your cost. If you don't take the time to log that, to log the expenses, the receipts, the bills, and again, if you're using QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop, like, highly recommend online, great. Like, you can integrate that with JobTread and you can keep the two in sync, and that streamlines a lot of this. So by all means do that. But at the end of the day, in order for you to keep getting better and to make sure that you're not making the same mistakes over and over again, you've got to take the time, or whether it's you, whether it's an office person, whether it's a project manager, somebody needs to be responsible for entering and tracking your cost. That is the only way you will know if what you budgeted at the beginning and how you priced it. The only way you will know is if you were accurate is if you put that cost in and take the time to reflect and understand, where did you make money and where did you lose money? Again, if we wouldn't have done that on that fencing job, we would have never figured out. It was single-handedly one material that was sinking our jobs, but we never tracked it. We didn't take the time to do it. And so again, like, if you want to build a successful and scalable and profitable business, you have to accurately price your jobs and do the job costing to ensure that you're hitting your target profit margin. And you're not going to get it all perfect. I never am upset with someone on any of my teams that if you make a mistake, I am totally fine with that. Own it, understand it, and don't make the same mistake twice. And this is what can help you do that. And so, I think, again, it's a lot of times, again, job costing, people just, they're like, I'm terrible with receipts. It's like pull out your phone, open up the job, snap a photo of it, and upload it. Like
Right.
you have to do that to be able to like really refine your business and to build a successful
Mhm.
model that will scale.
Well, before I get to my second question, I think a lot of people love the idea of owning a business, but not the idea of being a business owner.
Sure.
And when you look at what it takes to be a business owner and a successful leader, the things that you have to do, you have to do it or you don't deserve a business. I mean,
Yeah.
you just have to go through and put the work in. My second question is, what is your favorite part or favorite aspect of JobTread?
I mean, it's definitely the budget builder.
Okay.
That budget tool is I've never seen anything else like it. My co-founder, like, I mean, this guy is a freaking wizard, dude. This is like the Mona Lisa of software developers. Like what he is building is incredible, and it is so flexible that you can rearrange the columns. You can organize your jobs if you want to do it by by cost code or by cost group or by room or by cost type or like there's so many different ways that you can organize your budget. It's so flexible. We have specifically designed it to meet the needs of any type construction jobs based business. If you are out there running construction jobs, whether you want to have a one line item budget or thousands of line items in your budget, you can use JobTread to do that. And it's such a powerful tool that can give you so much insight. But at the same time, like if you don't want to see all that data at once, like if you just want to focus on building out your scope of work, you're estimating your cost and focus just on the estimating and the pricing aspects of it, you can do that. And you can create whatever custom views of this budget that you want. So some of our defaults, you got the estimating, you got the job costing default view that just here was our approved budget, here's all of our commitments, our POs, our work orders, here's our actuals, here's if we got our guys clocking in and out, here's our time, the hours, and the fully burden rate. Here's our projected cost, our cost to complete, our over budget, under budget. Like you can have just a view of that, or maybe you just want to focus on invoicing. You just want to see here was our approved price. Here's how much we've invoiced for, what percentage of the job, what's been collected, what's receivable, what's left to be invoiced. Like however much detail you want to get into, you can get into. And this is how like you can really like get deep and really refine your business and make sure that every single job, again, like the ability to just have those early alerts. If you are overrunning your budget, we throw the flag and you need to go and dig in and we show you exactly where to dig in. Like what happened? Did you misbid the job? Did you misrun the job? Do you have a change order? Like something happened. And the goal is to be able to course correct in real time. And I think that budget tool, man, it's hands down. I've never seen anything like it. The fact that like we can load up so much data so fast, and it's all pulling from the underlying, financial documents that are getting created from your customer orders and contracts and proposals to, your work orders and purchase orders to your bills and expenses to your invoices. Like all of it is like the underlying, data. It just is very easily visible to you. And the neat thing is like you only have to enter the data once, and then you just create these documents, from that budget that you've already built. A lot of systems out there, you got to keep re-entering the same information over and over and over, and that drives me nuts. It's an inefficiency.
Yeah, redundancy, right?
Yeah.
It's just so it's what again, one of the things I love is it's not just a plug and play, it's a plug and shape and play, right? It's all customizable
Yeah.
to that contractor, to what is that they're doing, which leads me to my next question. Because being in the trades, I used to have an HVAC business, and we used a software that was terrible. It was way overpriced, and it was terrible. I think one of the hangups for business owners in the trades is, yes, they're going to be skeptical, but well, I'm just going to say it, the fear of looking ignorant. So the reason I say that is to kind of go back to your team a little bit. What does the onboarding process look like when you guys have a new client?
Yeah. So every single customer that signs up for JobTread, you get a dedicated customer success manager. You have somebody who will be your point person. You have their cell phone, their email. You can call them, text them, whatever, however you want to get a hold of them. Like we have even a thing where it's basically you can go to open office hours every day. They have at least 1 hour a day where you can drop in. Just again, as we've gotten busy, this is one of the things that we implemented to help scale, to make sure that you can't, we allow you to schedule one-on-ones, but if you can't get in this week or whatever it may be, like this allows you to still be able to have that conversation, get that quick response. We have a phenomenal onboarding and implementation program. One of my the director of learning and development here, she has a PhD. She literally has a doctorate degree in organizational change management and organizational leadership, and she has put together a phenomenal curriculum. Like she does live trainings every day where you can watch all the recordings. Everything is all built into this help desk right there within the application. But she walks you through and breaks down each of the different pieces and what you need to implement. There's a whole getting started program, that again, we've got 3 different, do you want to crawl, walk, or run through it? You can do it in, a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, kind of whatever pace. It's all the same stuff. But like, we are here for you. We want to help you because we know we're not just a software company. We're also a service company. We want to be there to help you get the most out of this. Like we are literally like, my mission is to help businesses to be able to better grow and scale. And just, again, like we're here to help and we want to be a resource. We also have a phenomenal JobTread Pros Facebook group. Like over 2,000, of our customers are in there helping each other. A rising tide lifts all boats. Like we have built a community around JobTread where, again, I'm super active on there. My team's super active, but like people can just throw out questions, throw out ideas, feature requests, and the whole community can be part of helping each other grow. And it's just such a really, really neat thing that like, the last thing I'd want is for anyone to feel like, that they're going to have to go at this alone, because you're not. You 100% are not. Our goal is to be the standard for managing construction projects. And we're going to do that by getting JobTread into tens of thousands, eventually hundreds of thousands of contractors' hands. And you are not alone. We are here to help. We do our annual user conference every year as well. It's coming up next week. Like we have over 500 people coming in from all over the world to come to this event for a couple days, where we're going to bring in all sorts of, we have over 32 ed sessions. We got 4 keynote speakers. I got like 25 different sponsors and partners. Like we're bringing together all of these people that are going to you're going to be able to learn with and network with, and your peers, learn from our partners, learn from my team, literally my entire team. Every single person will be out of the office at our conference, there to network and to teach and to learn, and this is how we're building JobTread, is by working and partnering with our customers. Like we are building the future together. And I think that is something that's so important, that you understand, like just because you don't, you feel like you're not good at software, or you feel like you've never used something or whatever it is, like we have implemented over 2,300 construction companies on JobTread. Like we have seen it all. And we are very, very good at, whether you're the most tech savvy or the least tech savvy, we are good and we will help you get this implemented.
When I send out an invitation to bring somebody on here, one of the things that I am always deliberate about is that we align. And it's not because I'm scared of debate or confrontation, but I think there's a time and place for that. But when we align, and I align with someone who is an expert in their field that I am not, the value that's always brought is phenomenal. And the value that you've brought in this conversation, Eric, is, you're going to get some more tradesman experienced people knocking
Awesome.
on your door. I can guarantee it. The contractors that I work with, welding fabricators that I work with that are switching to JobTread, the feedback that I'm getting is all positive, all positive. You guys walk them through the integration or take care of the integration with QuickBooks. Like the way that you navigate them through, and that's why I asked the onboarding question, it removes the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And the customer service, the fact that you guys are based in Dallas, the fact that you guys are culture driven and everybody has to show up, to me, that's valuable. That's some of the things that are important to me, because a software is a software. It's only as valuable as the people that stand behind it. And to me, the value comes from the culture of the team and the leadership. As we go to wrap this up, what else would you like to share that we haven't touched on?
Look, I think that it's important for all business owners to recognize that we're all on this journey as entrepreneurs. There are going to be, it is inevitable. Adversity is inevitable. Change is inevitable. It's like being on a roller coaster. You're gonna have your ups and you're gonna have your downs, and those hardest times, those lowest points on that journey. You gotta appreciate the fact that it's not easy. And anybody looking for that easy button, it doesn't exist.
Mhm.
So learn to appreciate and enjoy the journey. Those lows will make those highs even better. And as you can, and as you grow and you can build a great team around you, it gets easier and easier. Like it's all about how you handle those tough times. And at the end of the day, though, like as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, like your number one job is to build the right team. And it's for you to decide what is the vision and the mission of your organization, and to continually embody that, and to remind your team, to remind your customers, to remind your trade partners, to motivate and inspire them to do great. And I think once you can really figure that out, like there's no way that I would ever be able to not be an entrepreneur. Like you understand that this is a journey, and you gotta enjoy the ride. And taking the time to join coaching groups and networking, and like there's so many opportunities that you can tap into those around you. Like there is such a great opportunity to learn, but you have to be open-minded to that. You have to devote some time to continually developing yourself. Put your ego away. Put your, I'm the CEO, I'm the owner, I'm the big dog. Like, no, you're just like everybody else. And you have the same opportunity as everybody else to develop yourself, to be a better you, to be a better leader, and to build a better business. And the sooner that you figure that out, the sooner you're going to be able to create a great business too. And I think it's very contagious. It's something that, invest in yourself and make sure that you build a great, support system, have the right processes, the right tools, the right people, and just focus on doing great work. And your life is going to be so much more fulfilled, and you're going to be able to just grow and have a much more profitable, spend a lot more time kind of doing what you love to do, spend more time with your family. It takes time getting there, but don't let it discourage you. You're already listening to this podcast, so you've taken the first step. You found Josh, you found the tradesman experience. Like, keep doing that and keep investing in yourself. And I'm 100% confident that you can build a great business. I've seen it time and time again. So, whatever that's worth, I hope I can encourage you to do that.
Yep, I completely agree. Where can people find JobTread, and how can they connect with you guys and get more information?
Yeah, I'd say best place is just on our website, www.jobtread.com, JOBTREAD.com. You can schedule a demo right there at the top. Like, we are happy. We are excited to take the time to walk you through the platform. Like, again, we want to make sure it's going to be a good fit for you. We will take as much time as we need to help you learn, help you see it in action. If you want to kind of skip the sales demo, some people do. That's totally fine. You can just sign up. Directly hit that sign up button, and again, you'll automatically get assigned to one of our customer success managers, who will then you'll be able to get on with them to go through that implementation training. Any which way, it all starts right there on our website. So I would encourage you though to go down one of those paths. Obviously we got a ton of content and videos on YouTube. If you want to kind of just see some pre-recorded stuff, that's also there. We're all over Facebook, social media. So, feel free to, blow me up, any which way you can find me. I'm happy to help and answer questions. But yeah, we're definitely very accessible, I'd say.
Yep. Yeah. As soon as we hit the stop button, you and I are going to have conversations in the future. I already know that because um, what you and your team bring to the table and this opportunity that people have to systemize and scale their business with this program, this platform. Um, yeah, it's exciting. I'm super excited because I don't know how to do what you do. So when I can introduce you and JobTread to people and they can plug it in and we can capitalize and multiply what we're doing, that yeah, that gives me some fire. So
Awesome.
man, I can't thank you enough for spending the time to be here to explain JobTread. If anyone cannot hear the passion that you have, they need to turn up the volume because, man, you bring the fire. I love the program. I know my clients love the program. So, dude, thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Hey, guys, go check out JobTread. Until next time, get shit done.